going on, everybody? Edge0626 here, and I know exactly what all of you are thinking right now. I thought this motherfucker said he wasn't buying Black Ops Cold War. You're right. I didn't buy Black Ops Cold War. Actually, the gameplay you guys are watching is provided by a good friend of mine, Dante. He goes on YouTube by the name of Nas2PO. I guess that's supposed to be 2.0 or something like that. I don't know. Dante, you had to explain that to me. I'm confused. But he and I will be working together and hopefully going to try and grow both of our communities here. His links will be down in the description below. So give him a sub and tell him I sent you, because this guy is fucking great at Call of Duty. He's not even esports. You know, he's not an esports guy or anything. He's a casual player, but he's just that fucking good. He reminds me of me when I used to play Black Ops 1 on the Wii many years ago, well over a decade ago now. Speaking of Black Ops 1, that is part of the topic of today's commentary. As some of you know, Black Ops Cold War was not a full 3-year cycle game that we're typically used to seeing from Call of Duty over the last, 5-6 years or so. And especially considering how this game was also made in a pandemic, I knew from the get-go that when Treyarch took over from Sledgehammer, because Sledgehammer was fired for whatever reason. Well, they're not fired, but they were relieved of their duties for this game, and Treyarch stepped in and took over. And I knew when that happened, I knew something wasn't right, and I also knew that there was probably going to be a more or less shitty game, because God knows Treyarch has not made a decent game since Black Ops 2. And I hate when everyone says, oh, Black Ops 2 is the greatest Call of Duty of all time. It was pretty average at best. It had a lot of fucking problems with it for me to even enjoy the multiplayer, but the story mode was pretty good, and the zombies, it was average in my honest opinion. This is not a Black Ops 2 shitting on video, but this is a Black Ops 1 video, or a Black Ops 1-esque type of video, because considering how Black Ops Cold War is a legitimate sequel to Black Ops 1, all the events that take place in Black Ops Cold War take place right after Black Ops 1 in some way, shape, or form, back in like the late 70s and early 80s and such. So, which is cool, I like that whole thing, and of course it kind of ties in together with, I don't know what the hell happened to Black Ops 2, but it kind of ties in those two games together now, in some way, shape, or form. I don't know, it's fucking weird. But my whole thing is this: with the amount of issues that Black Ops Cold War still has, because there's a lot of fucking issues with this game, whether it's issues with connection, issues with hit detection, issues with software and such. I'm not sure if I don't know if those have been completely solved. I could be wrong, but as far as I know, those issues have been relatively okay. I haven't heard too many problems of people getting disconnected and their blue screening and their games crashing, but that was a huge issue early on. I'm sure a lot of people still deal with it now. I wouldn't be surprised. I know a lot of people dislike this game for the extremely sweaty nature of it, for lack of better terms, and of course all the other technical problems that come with every other Treyarch game. So I thought to myself recently, I said, and I've been a huge advocate for this for a very, very long time, why didn't just Treyarch remaster Black Ops 1? Like, look, we get Sledgehammer, they got canned from making the next Call of Duty. However, I feel that they could have easily, and I mean easily, in the amount of time that they were given to make this game, which was released with a lot of issues because it was not a full 3-year development cycle game. And I don't want to hear the whole thing of oh, this game was also made in the pandemic, that's also why there was issues. Fuck that, man. Honestly, that's not. At some point, like in the first couple of months of the pandemic, I could have understood that. After like June, there's no excuses anymore. There was no excuses, and this game probably should have been delayed at least until Christmas season, in my opinion. I don't know why the fuck they were so hell-bent on making this game as, they were so hell-bent on releasing this game as quick as it was with the amount of issues it was having across all platforms. with that being said, as I was saying, Black Ops 1 would have been remastered, would have been a fantastic choice. In my honest opinion, and this is just me being subjective, so take it with a grain of salt, I personally think Black Ops 1 is the greatest Call of Duty game of all time, as Dante gets really angry at this jump-shotting little bastard that he killed. So, that's my opinion. I think Black Ops 1 is the greatest game ever made for Call of Duty. I have never enjoyed as a Call of Duty as much as Black Ops 1 since its release in 2010, and it only makes sense to me, and it may make sense to you too, that on the 10-year anniversary of Black Ops' release, why the fuck wouldn't you just release a remastered Black Ops 1? Let us have fun with that. You know, even I'll even fucking pay for the DLC. Like, why didn't they just do that? I would have even paid for the fucking DLC at that point. I would have paid for the whole $60 game. I would have paid for the fucking DLC, whether it was multiplayer or zombies. I would have been totally okay with shelling out that amount of money for a Black Ops 1 remake. Because in my opinion, it would have made a lot more sense than to just release a completely brand new game with the horrid amount of issues that it had at launch and probably still suffers from. So, and I'm not saying Black Ops Cold War shouldn't have been made. I think if they wanted to make it, they could have easily made it several years after the fact. You know, people would have obviously gotten sick of Black Ops 1 Remastered, and they, you know, the next game would have been made, which I think could have been Sledgehammer. Who knows? Because, you know, they were canned the first time, so who knows what would have happened the second time. So with that being said, I just feel as though that I'm not saying Black Ops Cold War should have been made. What I think should have been done from a development team perspective is, look, we have X amount of time to create this game. Why don't we just fucking remaster Black Ops 1? We're in a crunch. It's a pandemic. Why don't we just remaster what we have? We already have the assets for it. We can just make it to a point where it's runnable on, you know, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and PlayStation 5. We make it to a point where it runs on those games, which I'm sure that may have been the most problematic part of it. I wouldn't be surprised because, you know, a game that was on PlayStation 3 running on PlayStation 5, who knows? That might have been where the challenge came from. But I just feel as though that I would have been much happier playing a game like a Black Ops 1 Remastered, or even Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered, and then they would have just released the multiplayer, because allegedly the multiplayer is in the files, which would not shock me. So, I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? I really do feel like in the state Black Ops 1 released it, especially in the alpha and beta, I knew that the game was fucking terrible. People, like, I've had conversation with people. It's like, oh, you can't tell what a game is like from playing a beta. Yes, I can, because every game is more or less, you know, every beta, especially in Call of Duty standards, has been more or less what the game turns out to be. It's not rocket science. Most people with a brain feel this way. You know, I have friends that try to tell me otherwise, and I'm just like, oh, it's like, dude, you're wrong. You're wrong. I was like, well, tell me I'm wrong, because to me, the same issues that are in the beta are in the same issues that arise when the game releases. So what's the point of, as far as I'm concerned, I'm paying $60 for a beta. Or for a game that's still in beta, excuse me. So I feel like Black Ops 1 could have been a much better choice remastered for the 10-year anniversary. Let hardcore fans who have been with this series for the last 10 years or more enjoy an old school Call of Duty, like an old school Call of Duty, but brought back to life with, you know, the power of the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, because I'm sure a lot more people have them now than they did when they were first releasing. So, I mean, I can't see why it wouldn't have been thought of. If it wasn't thought of, I'll be shocked. But I think it would have been a much better idea than to just release Black Ops Cold War in the state it was in, because, you know, some people say, I mean, it's clear as day that it wasn't a finished product. I mean, I played the fucking alpha. To me, the alpha played no different from anything else that I played from the beta, and I'm sure the beta didn't feel any different from when the game actually released. So, that's all I have to say about that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. And of course, check out myself and all my links as well as my buddy Dante. See you guys soon.